Once upon a time, in a lush meadow surrounded by tall trees and colorful wildflowers, there lived two best friends, Sam and Sally, two curious and spirited rabbits. They had soft fur and long, twitchy ears that always seemed to pick up on the tiniest sounds. Their burrow was nestled under a giant oak tree, and every day was an adventure, whether they were hopping through the meadows, exploring the forest, or digging new tunnels to expand their cozy home. Sam was a brown rabbit with a white spot on his nose, and he loved to jump higher than anyone in the meadow. His energy was boundless, and there wasn't a single rock or log that could stop him. Sally, on the other hand, was a clever white rabbit with gray-tipped ears. She had a knack for solving problems and always thought 3 steps ahead, making sure their adventures were both fun and safe. One morning, as the golden sun peeped over the horizon and painted the sky with shades of pink and orange, Sam bounded over to Sally's burrow with exciting news. He was practically hopping out of his fur. "Sally, Sally," Sam shouted, his eyes sparkling. "You won't believe it. I heard something amazing from old Grumble the badger." Sally, who was busy nibbling on a clover, looked up at Sam with a curious gaze. "Old Grumble, huh? What's he up to this time?" Sam bounced up and down in front of her. "He said Farmer Green's garden is full of the juiciest, biggest carrots in the whole meadow. They're as big as our ears, Sally. Imagine how tasty they must be. We have to get some." Sally tilted her head, considering the idea. She had heard rumors of Farmer Green's garden before. It was known to have the best vegetables, but it was also closely guarded. Farmer Green had a watchful cat, Whiskers, who would chase away any creatures that tried to nibble on his crops. But last time we tried to sneak into Farmer Green's garden, we barely made it out without being caught by Whiskers, Sally said, a little worried. "Remember how fast he was, and the way his fur bristled when he saw us? I'm not sure I want to risk it again." Sam's eyes widened. "But Sally, think about it. This time we can be sneaky. We can plan it out like secret agents on a mission. We'll be quiet, quick, and careful. We'll get those carrots and be back before Farmer Green even knows we're there." Sally thought for a moment, tapping her paw to her chin. She was cautious, but Sam's excitement was contagious, and the idea of tasting those legendary carrots was tempting. Finally, she nodded. "All right, Sam, let's do it, but we'll need a plan, and it has to be a good one." "Yes," Sam exclaimed, his ears twitching with excitement. "I'll meet you at the edge of the meadow at dusk. We'll sneak through the fence, grab the carrots, and be back before you can say carrot cake." Sally chuckled. "I like the sound of that. Let's make sure we're prepared." As the day wore on, Sam and Sally each worked on their parts of the plan. Sam, eager to get started, gathered some baskets for their carrots and made sure they were large enough to hold a lot of them. Sally, ever the strategist, carefully sketched a map of Farmer Green's garden, marking the best places to find the largest carrots. She also made a list of what they would need: a quick escape route, a distraction in case Whiskers showed up, and of course, their best hopping skills. When the sun finally began to set, casting a soft glow across the meadow, Sam and Sally met at the edge of the tall grass. The sky was painted in shades of lavender and gold, and the air was cool with the promise of evening. "Ready?" Sam asked, his whiskers twitching in excitement. "Ready," Sally replied, adjusting the little satchel she wore over her shoulder. She made sure the map was secure and tucked a small flashlight into her pocket, just in case. Together, they hopped toward Farmer Green's garden, moving carefully through the meadow. The wind rustled the grass, and the scent of wildflowers mixed with the earthy smell of the soil beneath their paws. As they neared the garden, they slowed down and crouched low, hiding in the tall grass by the garden's wooden fence. "Now we need to be careful," Sally whispered. "We don't want to make any noise. If we alert Whiskers or Farmer Green, we'll be in big trouble." Sam nodded, his tail twitching with excitement. They crept forward, and soon they spotted the gap in the fence where they could squeeze through. With practiced ease, they both wriggled through the narrow opening, careful not to make a sound. On the other side of the fence, the garden stretched out before them, rows and rows of vegetables in every direction. There, among the leafy greens and bright yellow squash, stood the carrots, towering and bright orange, just waiting to be picked. "Look at them," Sam exclaimed, his eyes wide. "They're even bigger than I imagined." Sally smiled. "All right, let's get to work. We'll grab the biggest ones, fill our baskets, and head back before anyone notices." The two rabbits began hopping from row to row, digging their paws into the soft soil and pulling out the juiciest, most perfect carrots they could find. Sam was quick, but Sally was methodical, making sure they didn't leave any evidence behind. But just as they were about to head back to the fence, they heard a rustling noise behind them. Sam froze, his whiskers twitching. "Did you hear that?" he whispered. Sally's sharp ears perked up. There it was again, a soft, rustling sound, followed by a low, rumbling growl. Sally's heart skipped a beat. "Uh-oh," she muttered. "I think it's Whiskers. He must have spotted us." Before Sam could react, the bushes behind them rustled again, and out popped Whiskers, the sleek black cat with yellow eyes that gleamed in the moonlight. Whiskers crouched low to the ground, his tail flicking back and forth as he watched them with an intense stare. "Run!" Sam shouted, but Sally held up her paw. "We need a distraction," she said, her mind racing. "Think, Sam. What can we use?" Sam scanned the garden quickly, his eyes landing on a pile of fallen apples near the garden gate. A brilliant idea flashed in his mind. "Apples," he whispered. "We can roll them and make a noise to distract him." Without a second thought, they both raced toward the apples. Sam grabbed one in his mouth and nudged it toward Sally. Together, they started rolling the apples across the ground, one by one. The apples bounced and tumbled, making a loud clattering noise. Whiskers turned his head toward the noise, his curiosity piqued. The cat crouched and began to stalk the apples, completely forgetting about the two rabbits. "This is our chance," Sally shouted. "Let's go!" With their baskets full and hearts racing, Sam and Sally darted toward the fence. They moved as quickly as they could, their paws pounding the earth. Whiskers was still distracted by the apples, batting them around with his paws. As they reached the fence, Sally squeezed through first, with Sam right behind her. They landed safely on the other side, just as Whiskers meowed in frustration, realizing he'd been tricked. "We made it," Sam cheered, panting. "That was so close." Sally grinned, brushing a leaf from her fur. "We did it, Sam. And now we've got enough carrots to last us a long time." The two rabbits, laughing and chatting, hopped back home under the moonlit sky. They were tired but happy, and the taste of those juicy carrots made the whole adventure worth it. As they snuggled up in their burrow later that night, Sam munched on a carrot and sighed contentedly. "That was the best adventure ever, Sally." Sally smiled, nibbling on her own carrot. "It sure was, but next time, let's make sure we avoid the cat." And with that, they both curled up the sweet taste of carrots still fresh on their tongues, and drifted off to sleep, dreaming of their next big adventure. The end.